All right, here on the Market Day Report, let's run through these numbers provided to us by bar chart so we can get into breaking down why we're seeing these numbers. Corn market here last hour was kind of hanging on by a penny. Now 2 1/4 higher, 681 1/2. The December's up 5 3/4 at 608, and also a half a penny there as well. Over in the soybean market, here we go with the nearby July up 22 3/4 at 1583. November up 17 3/4 cents. Chicago wheat on the July contract is up 2.5 pennies, 682 1/2. Kansas City's up just 1 at 631 a bushel. And the July Minneapolis wheat down 15 1/2 now at 769 1/2. That's still not the low. 762 1/2 is as far down as we've gotten there. So we've got 7 cents away from the bottom. And July cotton is up 132 at 85.68. The new crop December up 114 at 86.40. As Ted Seifried with Zaner Ag Hedge is joining us here. Ted, this pullback here, does that concern you at all? Let me better ask it this way. How important is it that we would finish on a positive note, no matter what size it is, especially with all the strength we saw this morning?
It kind of depends on which market you're talking about, John. When we talk about spring wheat, we're down a little bit because we're expecting some rains over the course of the next couple of days, basically between now and Thursday. So a little bit of correction lower on a little bit less weather concern. That's perfectly normal for the market. I don't think those rains are going to be enough to really change anything. So ultimately, after we get past those rains, I think we're going to go higher. It's just a question of how much higher, and that will depend on how much rain we get. Now, as far as corn and soybeans are concerned, for me, it's very important that the July soybeans close positive on the day after the massive reversal lower that we saw yesterday. You get a feeling that maybe something's a little off in the old crop soybean and maybe even the old crop corn contracts. And again, here today, you look at corn, it's December corn trying to lead the way higher rather than July. So you do worry a little bit about what's going on with those old crop contracts. But you look at crop conditions yesterday, worse than expected for corn, worse than expected for soybeans. You look at the forecast, there's a lot of concern out there, and you've got the new crop remaining strong. I think we've got more upside potential here, just like we talked about in the wheat. If we get some rains, I still think we go higher after that because I don't think the rains are going to be enough. And I honestly think the rains have a very good potential of being disappointing. So we might go sharply higher after that if the rains don't come in as expected. So, yeah, again, today's a nice rebound day for those July soybeans in particular. I really want to see them close positive. But I like what we're seeing across the board everywhere else as well.
Okay. One final quick question then before we go to the livestock. What about this dollar index up 164 points? We're back up above 90. Is the grain market shrugging that off today?
Yeah, so for the dollar index to have a big effect on grains as a whole, we're going to have to see an extended multi-day move. For the dollar, it looks like a corrective bounce in my opinion. Overall, I think a lot of the big spending bills that we're trying to get through on infrastructure eventually get done. That's more money that you're throwing on top of the money multiplier. That's more pressure on the dollar. Ultimately, I still think that dollar has potential to go lower. So for the moment, yes, we are shrugging off that strength in the dollar.
All right, we'll be back in a moment. We'll see how the livestock trade is going to go in its final moments next here on the Market Day Report. All right, let's go back over here to Ted Seifried. What did you think of the activity that we saw over here today in the protein complex, Ted?
Not much action. You saw HOGS make a new high, and then saw quite a bit of sell orders coming on top of that, push us back down. These are normal things that you see in a bull market. We haven't done anything to really affect the chart at this point. I still see more upside potential in HOGS. Domestic demand is really very solid. Again, this is a bull market. It looks good to me, and days like today shouldn't be something that we really are terribly concerned about. Now, for the live cattle, we started out under a pretty significant amount of pressure, but we've been able to turn around and bounce off the lows, and that is a very welcome thing because we were starting to challenge some key support levels. So live cattle look a little bit better. Yes, I'd like to see them close, higher on the day, but maybe sharply higher on the day, like to gain some strength into the close. But at least we saved that sort of rollover and breakout downside to go test those lows that we had from the JBS super attack.
That's a very, very good point. Let's look at that June live cattle contract right now. And keep in mind, we have seen just a very small amount of some 190 to 191 cash taking place in Nebraska, in the northern part of the feeding region. June live cattle up 67 at 116.90. And that's gained here just a little bit. Well, there it is. It just changed on us on our live and instant quotes. Now up 70 at 116.92. August up 30. The October up 35. Over to the feeder cattle market, and there's been pressure here throughout the day today. August down 85, September down 52 at 152.10, and October down 27 at 154.37. Ted mentioned these hogs. Well, June is up 77, but the July down 25 at 121.85. August down 15. December now just up 50. You feel like we're getting kind of toppy over here, at least for the near term, Ted?
No, I really don't. You know, a lot of times when you make a new high like that, then the market kind of settles back down just a little bit. We came down with today's low and hit our very, very shallow or very short-term upward trend line. This is really the first level of support that we had, and we bounced off that. It looks good to me. I wouldn't be surprised if we're higher again tomorrow.
Okay. Well, Ted, we're going to have you back tonight on the Rural Evening News, and we'll kind of get an idea of that WASDE report that's coming up here. That's going to be kind of interesting to see what happens. We'll talk to you tonight then. All right, let's look at these outside markets too as we get ready to wind down the day, as we do each and every day here. We've got the Dow down 14 points. In fact, this market's very quiet, 34,602. Looking at the U.S. dollar, we just talked about this. We are up 159 points at 91.05. The crude oil market here today, up 39 cents a barrel at 69.62. And we've got a chance here to check the diesel fuel. It's almost a penny higher at $2.12.5 a gallon. So there's kind of a complete overall wrap up of all the markets. Tammy, back to you, ma'am.